And we're live. All right. Can you see the real me? This is Jack Mangan, rocking the Black Sabbath shirt. Today, I am, you know me from the Am I Evil graphic novel, which is...
Is that where I know you from?
That's where you know me from. Well, you know me from...
You know me from my sizable beverages.
That's right. We know Tom from the Big Gulp or whatever, or Quick Trip. I don't know. I don't know what they have for you.
You're right. It is a quick trip, but not like your quick trip. It's KWIK trip instead of QT, which you have there, and it's a far superior convenience store for the record.
Oh, I believe it. Minus the Q. So anyway, that's me. Yeah. Also, you know me from the Metal Hall of Fame and MetalAsylum.net, or just that guy. And to my left, to your right of me, is my cohort, my partner in crime,
Rich Catino from Metal Asylum and Brave Words Magazine and the Metal Hall of Fame and Sea of Tranquility. And now I got to represent a little bit of the Slaughter Fear No Evil album, which is terribly underrated and overlooked, from, what is it, 93, I think, somewhere around there, 94, but great album. Check it out.
Yes, indeed.
And we are joined by Thom Hazaert, who appears once in a while and joins us. Welcome again.
Hello, gentlemen.
What's up? And who did you bring with us?
I brought my friend, the fabulous Andre Comeau.
It's happening,
you may know
guys.
him from the beginning of reality TV on The Real World Season 1 when he was in an awesome rock band called Reigndance. And now tomorrow, the new season, the Homecoming, the reunion is airing tomorrow. So we were like, shit, maybe me and Andre should come on and talk some rock and roll and talk about the Real World reunion and everything else. So, Andre.
What's shaking?
What's up?
Welcome.
I'm good, thanks. In sunny Los Angeles, it's a beautiful day here. I'm at the recording studio, taking a little bit of a break. You're going to be hearing some guitar blasting while we do this, and things are good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
Nice. Thanks for coming
All
on.
right. Yeah. All right, Rich. Yeah, go ahead and fire away with some questions. I'm going to share this around a little bit and do my other thing behind the scenes.
Well, let's kind of start at the beginning. The Real World was really the first reality TV show, correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was 1992. Bunham Murray, the production company, John Murray and Mary Ellis Bunham, had a great idea that they were going to be starting a documentary-style television show based around 720-somethings for MTV.
To live in a loft.
Yeah,
have their lives taped.
Just basically an experimental TV show that was going to air on the network that spoke to Gen X. And little did we all know that it was going to change the face of entertainment and, change how we look at television and really nothing's been the same since.
That's true. Yeah. So is it fair to say then, Andre, that, because after that, right, MTV kind of stopped playing videos and TV became overrun with reality TV. Is it fair to say that that's your fault? Is that a fair statement?
I'd like to take full credit for that.
Well, we'll blame Eric Neese for that.
I ruined television. Thank you. Yes. And MTV specifically. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. No further questions for me. That's so, go ahead, Rich. I'm still doing my shit here. So hang on.
So you're the reason why they didn't play anything from this album on there then, huh?
I am. No, it's weird. It's funny how often, still even to this day, people come up to me and go, "Why doesn't MTV play videos anymore?" And I'm like, "What am I going to do?"
But yeah, you're the program director, Andre. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. The reason though is that people used to change the channel if a song came on that they didn't like. And that's why they stopped playing music on MTV, because it was too easy to leave the channel if there was something that you didn't like. And now with reality,
it's really easy to not turn it on.
I don't like any of it, but people stay glued to that TV to see what these people will do next, and that's really what they have decided keeps the viewers glued.
At the time, did you have a video that you did with Reigndance that could have been played on MTV or no?
We did actually. We shot a video that was featured on, I think it was episode 7 of the first series. It was for a song called Lazy Bones, and we filmed the video, and the episode centered around making the video. We shot it on Super 8 film, which looked amazing, and it was a lot of fun. It was kind of silly, but they actually ended up showing most of the video played over the end credits as well. So they did. We got a lot of mileage out of that video for what it was. MTV did not play it in rotation. There were all kind of political reasons how they chose their what was actually going into their playlists. Had a lot more to do with politics, I'm sure.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So, well, let's talk a little bit. I mean, let's take people through your career. And we're not done talking about real world. I'm sure people out there, if you have questions, drop in. I'm sure you're not going to be off the hook completely, but we'll ask about your career. Talk to us about Reigdance's career, because I dig it. I think Lazy Bones is a great song. I definitely like what you guys are doing. Yeah, let's start there and come to the present.
Well, Reigndance was a band consisting of some high school friends that took it out of school and into adulthood. We moved from our hometown of Detroit, Michigan. Played in Detroit for 2 or 3 years before we moved to New Jersey. Got a house there, and we're playing the Metro New York area for exactly 1 year before I moved into the loft to shoot Real World. We released a record on an independent label shortly thereafter, and released a total of 3 records in our time together. We broke up about 97, and at which time I moved to Los Angeles. And I kind of stopped playing rock music for a long time. I've always played music. I went back to sort of acoustic folk music for many years, and was doing that here in LA with my band called River Rouge, which I did for about 10, 15 years, released a bunch of records as River Rouge. And then back in a couple years ago, I wrote a few new rock songs that I wanted to flesh out a little bit. So I put a rock band together to record those songs. It felt so good that we kept, playing and writing new stuff. We put an album's worth of tracks together. A friend of mine named Tim Binder got a hold of it and started passing the tapes around to friends of his that are in the business. One of whom was Thom Hazaert, who we, spoke shortly.
Me and Andre had actually been previously acquainted even earlier in the early 2000s as well. And we'd kind of talked then about, what he was doing and doing stuff. And then fast forward a decade later, Tim Binder hits me up, who'd done a lot of radio for EMP. And he's been a good friend. He did radio for my old label, Corporate Punishment. I mean, I've been working with Binder for going on probably 20 years, and I get a random message like, "Hey, do you remember Andre from the Real World?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I love Andre." I told him we had talked many moons before about some things, and then kind of lost contact. He's like, "Oh, he did some new stuff," and he kind of reconnected me and Andre, and here we are.
Yeah, and so Tom put out the EP called "Wrong Within." We put it out, about, I think it was back in June of 2020. My drummer and producer, Darren Elpant, we put it out in, ourselves. And when, COVID sort of dashed all touring and support of our
fucked everything up.
We just decided to go right back into the studio and start recording the follow-up, which we're putting the finishing touches on right now.
Yeah. Well, and so probably, when was it? October, November-ish, I get a random call from Andre out of the blue, and he goes, "Hey, you'll never believe what just happened." So, he was like, well, look, I just got a call. They want to do a real world reunion, and and then look, and then we kind of said, well, look, that's a great opportunity to kind of, push this new record and some of these new singles and some of the new stuff kind of around that. So we've been really, which is so cool, man. I mean, again, I was a huge fan of the original show, and I loved Reigndance, man. I thought they were a great band, and not only Andre but Dean Fertitta, who went on to be in a bunch of amazing bands, was also in that band. Right. And great. And again, I always felt like they were a band that never really got their due. I think Andre never really got his due, as like a cool rocker guy. So again, that was sort of the impetus behind it. Let's take a good swing at this, man. And the EP was great, and the new stuff they're working on is phenomenal. So yeah, it's a fun little thing we've been doing,
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to be, to be doing rock music again. Feels, such a natural progression to just come full circle and to be playing, some of the heaviest music I've ever created after, such a long hiatus from playing rock music. I as I mentioned, I was doing folk music, acoustic folk, for almost a dozen years, and coming back to rock, it was a very organic thing to just, it happened when I just wrote a couple of songs that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't, transmogrify them into folk songs. They had to be rock songs. So the band was a no-brainer that I had to put together a rock band to flesh them out, and it felt great. And it was, what I do in the rock world, I can bring it on the rock stage, and I didn't get to use that instrument, for many years. The higher vocal range, the Les Pauls and all that. I mean, I was playing sort of more of a Dylan-esque acoustic music, with that kind of delivery and that kind of thing. So, it felt great to get back into the sort of the rock genre.
Well, and a lot of people don't know. I mean, Andre's roots are pretty much, in metal and hard rock. I mean, that's kind of what you grew up on and what you
absolutely.
We got Patty Adams says, "Hey guys."
Hey,
Patty. Well, cool. Well, so real quick, just as a quick follow-up. So you said the album is underway. We're looking at 2021 for release?
Oh yeah, no, it'll be out by April at the very latest.
Oh, okay.
The single should be out in the next
couple weeks.
Days. Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. That's exciting, man. All right.
Clean Break. The new single is called Clean Break.
Okay. Very cool. All right, Rich. I know you have questions too. Go ahead.
So the new music, is it kind of like Reigndance, or is it a little more modern? Is it kind of like, what I always thought Reigndance sounded like when I went back to it? Do you remember the New Jersey band Law and Order? I don't know Law and Order. They were like a local band, and you guys were very familiar to them, I thought. Like more towards that than what they put you in was kind of like the grunge category. So correct. Yeah. Well, what's the new music kind of sounding like? Just to touch on what you were saying, I always thought Reigndance had much more of a Midwestern sound, more akin to, Soul Asylum than Soundgarden. That's kind of like Law and Order was kind of like that. Yeah. The
thing is too, I mean, Reigndance came out at that really weird time when the world was transitioning from Motley Crue and Skid Row and Guns N' Roses to Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. And I mean, what a confusing time to be a band trying to find your identity and figure out what you wanted to do and who you wanted to be. You know what I mean? But no, I agree. I always thought, I always thought Reigndance had a little more of that kind of awesome, and I say this with the utmost respect, butt rock kind of vibe, and that's what I fucking love, man. You know what I mean? So, we tried to incorporate a lot of that. I mean, we're from Detroit, so I'm huge Kiss fans. The rock is in our blood, and so there was no getting away from that. But certainly, we all had such varied influences. I mean, my family, my mom was in a band on Capitol Records with her 7 brothers and sisters. They were like a family, kind of Osmonds, kind of Partridge Family
kind of band that, you know, I grew up on tour with them, you know, playing Ed Sullivan's show and the David Frost show, all of those variety shows back in the early 70s. Those are my earliest memories. And that's the environment that I grew up in. And I think that, you know, a lot of those influences have, you know, sort of shown over the years. But yeah, I mean, just to your point, Rich, that, you know, Reigndance definitely had more of a, you know, alt country, touches of alt country and acoustic music as well. It wasn't, I mean, we definitely had very much a rock, we were a rock band, but we were, you know, definitely, you know, trying to, you know, show other influences as well.
So are you kind of taking, like I said, taking from that a little bit, or are you much more modern, much more, maybe a little more metal now? I don't know. What's it like?
Well, the new stuff I would say is definitely more hard rock, more in the vein of like, you know, for, you know, out of new rock bands like Rival Sons or something like a, you know, definitely more, you know, heavy modern rock was what,
but still very retro and kind of classic. And you know, the newer stuff is a little more modern. I mean, I think the EP, you know, kind of was a little more kind of based in sort of 80s hard rock kind of thing. And I think that the new record stuff is a little, you know, a little more left. But again, it's all just great rock and roll, man, you know?
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. You know, I think that, you know, maybe the EP had more blues rock influences, 70s. I'm a big fan of 70s rock, Humble Pie, early Kiss, Led Zeppelin, all of those bands. That's what I love to, you know, listen to, and that's what really keeps me moving. But I think that the new stuff is definitely a little more modern and, you know, a little more, maybe even a little heavier.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, look forward to hearing it. A Clean Break is the single you said. That's
the new single, yeah.
Right.
I'll send it to you guys when it's done for sure.
Oh yeah, please do. I'm excited. So I mean, actually, one of my questions was going to say, listening to the EP and even to River Rouge, I definitely hear kind of a bluesy edge to your stuff. Is that, you think that's still present on the new stuff? And
absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, that's the roots. I mean, that's everything stems from that. You know, it's funny. I listen to, you know, old country music, old blues music, old bluegrass. And honestly, the only difference that I hear in all three of those genres is who's playing it. That's what gets labeled, you know, whether it's country, blues, or bluegrass from the 40s, 50s. You know, the only difference is who's playing it, and that's how, you know, R&B. Well, it's a black artist. It's a guy from Memphis. Well, he must be country. You know, that kind of thing. And it's all, you know, it's so similar, and it's all that sort of rootsy music that I just love, and especially 50s blues is really the kind of thing that just still moves me like no other kinds of music does.
And what a lot of people don't know is Andre actually went down to the Crossroads one night in the night.
Sold my soul.
He sold his soul to me at the Crossroads. and then him and Steve Vai had like a guitar
battle
play off.
Yeah.
Andre won, of course.
Karate Kid was involved.
Monster. Yeah, I mean, the whole premise of Ralph Macchio beating Steve Vai in anything.
I know, and it's like not even close. Like he beats him with like Mel Bay Blues Lick 4. Like, come on.
It's
like,
the whole concept
no.
is so absurd.
Oh shit, he has a slide. Oh my god, I'm out. I'm outclassed completely.
Steve Vai is a god, and the Karate Kid is gonna beat him right.
Dude, did I ever tell you guys my Steve Vai story? So last year when me and I probably have, but last year when me and I played with Chris Poland, and we inducted Chris Poland into the Metal Hall of Fame. Pebbles, shut up. And so the whole time, Steve Vai and Joe Satriani Sorry. We're sitting in the front row watching us, and it's like the most absolutely. Hang on one second. Hold that thought. You guys talk. I'm going to go kill somebody.
I want to hear more from Pebbles, actually. That's
You bring up Steve Vai and the dog goes crazy, you know?
Big fan.
Yeah. I was gonna say I do love in that movie when every time Ralph Macchio picks up the guitar, suddenly the camera angle changes. Like suddenly it's either focused on his hands or his face. You don't actually see. But
Right.
anyway,
So sorry, my friend got here and knocked on my office door and set the dog into freak out. He's at my house mode. And anyway, so where was I? Okay, so we played. Obviously, I played with Chris Poland. We played Peace Cells. And the whole time, Satriani and Vi are like at the table in the front row. And they actually got inducted right after Chris did. And Chris actually played with them. So the whole time I'm playing and I'm looking down at Steve Vai and just Satriani and going, holy shit. And then when I'm done, I'm walking by and I kind of bump Steve Vai and he turns around and goes, dude, you were so fucking fun to watch. That was incredible. And I was like,
wow.
Like, what do you say to that? Like, holy shit, thanks, Steve Vai. Like it was like mind blowing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was my one cool moment of my life. That was it. I'm done with the show now.
That's awesome. Because he was, he's kind of hard to approach. That's not a knock on him. He's a little hard to approach. I remember that night he had these
like walking up to God and trying to like strike up a conversation, man. It's just there are not many people on earth I hold in higher regard than Steve Vai, to be honest. And I think most people kind of share that,
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we're not talking about Steve Vai. Steve Vai, you can come on.
We were talking about Steve Vai, and then we were talking about the fact that Steve Vai thinks I don't suck. So
yes, that is a cool thing. Yes, that is
how
a
about
great
Andre?
That's an awesome story. And as I said, I've told you many times. I've told the general public many times. That was an incredible performance of Peace Cells and The Conjuring. That I never thought
you can watch on Amazon Prime if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, it's killer. All right, Rich, go ahead. Ask a question.
Okay. Tell us about 7C's music. What do you do with that?
Oh, I work in music publishing. I've been working in music publishing for the last 20 years. It's a music licensing platform. And I represent a catalog for film and TV, pitch away to, film, television, advertising, video games. And it's really what I've been doing for, the last 20 or so years. I got involved in music publishing when Reigndance got signed to Warner Chappell Music Publishing. And it, really opened my eyes to what, the stable area of music, music sales, record sales have gone the way of the dodo bird, unfortunately. And honestly, music publishing is really the one, knocking on wood, of course, the one still viable, avenue for music. And that's how a lot of people, make money with their music. So that's what we do there. And I run the creative
money with music. Tell me about this.
Yeah. So I run the creative department at 7C's.
Cool. Well, actually, I'll follow up on that. So, are you able to disclose any of your favorite landings, where maybe you landed a song somewhere in a movie or a commercial or something?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, we got an iPhone spot in 2019. Tons of television, tons of film. It's hard to single any one out, but literally, I would say that the iPhone spot. We got a couple of Facebook ads. The advertising is the most impressive because the budgets are big and it's so visible. Television, budgets are much smaller and not as impressive perhaps, but advertising is one of the big fish. So
very cool.
Okay.
All right, we have a question. Yeah, we got a question from the world. Scott Dockendorf says, "Did you enjoy your time in Reigndance? Favorite album, Problem Factory, Thread, or Makeshift Gleam?"
Well, that's a great question. I of course I enjoyed my time in Reigndance. I like all three of those albums. They all represent something very different to me, and probably Thread was probably my favorite record of the Reigndance records, just in that we were in a sort of a real groove. We were, playing out constantly. We had gotten off the road, pretty much 18 months on the road, and recorded that record pretty quick. And it just, we were in a real groove when we made that record. Makeshift Gleam, all three records are actually really good. The Makeshift Gleam record is a fantastic record, but unfortunately, we were at the end of our, all bands have an expiration date, and we were nearing ours, and it was clear that we were all wanting to go in separate directions, and that was very clear in the making of Makeshift Gleam. So I wouldn't say that it broke up the band, but it definitely represents the end of that era for me.
Cool. Well, glad to hear it wasn't like an unhappy breakup. That's
Oh, it was pretty unhappy at the time, but there's been so much time passed since then. I look at it. we're all still friends, so it's not like it's it wasn't the end of our, because like I had mentioned, most of us grew up together. I've known Dean since the 4th grade, and Bob since the 7th grade, and so we've kept in touch over the years, and all of those unhappy memories have been, all of those wounds are healed by now. But it's funny because a lot of people like to ask, "Oh, is Reigndance ever getting back together?" And no chance. We were together for probably far too long to begin with, and I'm so happy doing what I'm doing now, and I know Dean's extremely happy doing what he does. There's I don't think any of us want to look back and sort of revisit any of that as much as we like doing what we're doing now.
Cool. Yeah, great answer. All right, I got a bunch of questions, but go ahead, Rich.
Okay, so since you're doing the real world again, and then you're making new music, are you going to be reissuing, remastering the Reigndance albums? Are they coming back out again?
No. I think they're out of print, and I think they are a piece of history, and that's where they will stay.
All right. So someone
So
should
if you
pirate
come
them.
across them used, pick them up.
Okay.
What's that?
So if you come across them used, I still buy Reigndance records whenever I see them. I just a couple months ago found a demo. I found one of the CDs, and I still buy them every time I see them. And I go, "Oh, Andre, look what I found."
Well, it's funny. They were on licensed overseas to Europe on Rough Trade, and in Japan on Apollon Records. They're definitely out there floating around. You just have to find them because they're definitely out there. But there's probably no one really wants them to be, no one wants to work them, I suppose is really the proper way to say it. So we're not going to be reissuing them.
All right. So Thom, upload that stuff to YouTube then. That's what you got to do.
Feel free.
Oh, you're crazy.
So I was actually, you guys kind of answered this, but I'll see if there's more to the story. How did you two connect outside? You answered this a little bit at the top of the story, at the top of the show, but
I don't remember how we originally we just connected through LA somehow.
I think I was playing at the Viper Room, and we met on like the Strip.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Exactly. Like some super LA way. Yeah. That's how people met back then. You went out to places and you met people, and we met, and we were, again, I think Andre was kind of moving away from rock at the time, and I was full bore. That was in the 2000s, so I was probably in Corporate Punishment or the, tail end of the Chimera Switch era, whatever, so full on new metal action, and Andre was kind of moving away from the rock stuff, which is probably why we didn't have a lot of synergy then. But look, Andre was a cool dude. We became friends, and it was super cool when we reconnected, man. After when Tim showed up and was kind of like, "Yo, Andre's got new," and I was excited he was doing rock, man. Again at the time, I'd kept up with his career, and I knew he kind of moved away from the rock stuff. And after Reigndance, and again, I know how that shit works, especially when your roots come from a mixed background of different kinds of music. When you're in a when you're in a shitty a relationship that ends really bad after a decade or 20 years, you want to just go in an extremely different direction. So again, I knew, but I kept up with what he was doing and sort of the more folky, bluesy stuff he was doing. But yeah, I was pretty excited when I heard Andre was doing rock stuff again, man, because I'm such a big fan and he was such a cool dude. So, yeah, we had some conversations. We went and did the Super LA thing. We went and hung out at the Rainbow and had dinner and said, hey, let's, maybe we can do something with this. So we put out the EP on EMP. Me and Andre and David went and had dinner and kind of hung out, and I introduced those guys. And again, man, it's fun. EMP's always been a different adventure with the stuff I sign. And, to me, there's just been really no limitations as far as, again, rock or just, again, Andre was just doing a cool rock thing. And then again, and now we got presented with this massive publicity vehicle in the Real World Homecoming and everything going on there. And Viacom's been wonderful with the press. I mean, I'm blown away. The other day I go and pick up the fucking New York Times. There's like a 2-page spread with like 3 photos of Andre in it. I mean, it's the press. Again, I think we both expect it to be big. I don't think either of us expected anywhere near the level of what it is or became,
It's a monster. They put the machine behind it, and it is literally a Godzilla of press. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's incredible. Yeah.
Well, it's a good time for our generation. I mean, absolutely. I want to touch on that, but I don't want to step on Rich. So, Rich, go ahead, and I'll circle back around to my question. Go ahead, Rich. What do you got lined up?
Okay, so the new show, is it going to be 1 episode, several episodes? What's going to happen with it?
Sure, it's 6 episodes. It's a mini-series. I believe each episode is about 45 minutes or an hour with commercial. It
starts tomorrow.
Yeah, and it premieres tomorrow on the Paramount Plus streaming platform.
Yeah, exciting. So I will ask so this is going to be a real world question, but so talk to us a little bit about 1991, about the early 90s. I'll just say I remember all the girls either liked Eric or liked Andre. My girlfriend was she was in the Andre crush camp, but back then. But talk to us just about kind of just skyrocketing to this fame, because that level of fame was huge. You guys were massive. That was a massive deal, that show.
A crazy experience that it's hard to even put into words. None of us, when I say us, the 7 of us, this cast, none of us expected the impact to have anywhere close to the impact that it had. And frankly, none, at the time, if you recall, like early 90s MTV shows, they would air a couple of times, maybe twice, and then they'd be gone just like that, never to be seen again. I mean, how many times did you watch an episode of Remote Control? You know what I mean, or something like that.
The grind.
Yeah. Those episodes, they aired and then they were gone, and that's what we expected Real World to be. But the fact is that they spoke to our generation, Gen X, in a way that nothing else had, and it aired on the network that spoke to our generation in a way that nothing else, spoke to our generation, specifically our Gen X, our generation. I mean, we were the demo, and now, finally, 30 years later, almost, it still resonates with our generation, and it's wild because I hadn't watched my season of Real World since it originally aired, and I literally had not seen it. I don't have MTV, I don't have cable, so I just hadn't watched it for 28 years. And when Viacom came around and talked about the possibility of us reuniting, and my wife had never seen it. She'd never watched Real World. I never pushed it on her, and she'd never seen it. She's considerably younger than I am, so she was too young for the original airing. I mean, of course, she'd seen pieces of it, but had never watched it from beginning to end. So we sat down. I dug out the DVD and we sat down and watched it from first episode to 13, and I was actually pleasantly surprised rewatching it, because it was not, the years of reality television and what reality TV subsequently became, it had colored my memory in a way that, it tainted the memory of what I did, and we were not doing what the average reality people do now.
Yeah, you weren't doing what the Kardashians were doing. I mean, what you guys were doing was real, was intelligent. I mean, again, your series was more documentary. You know what I mean? It really was. It was just a documentary cut up into a series.
We were all artists. We were all artists with pursuing actual careers in whatever our chosen art was, whether that was writing with Kevin, or Julie was a dancer, and Heather was a rapper. We were actually pursuing those creative endeavors, and we all we came to the show with that. We brought that to the show, brought that to the table. So really, it wasn't about kind of just being famous for the sake of fame. We weren't even thinking we were going to be famous. It was just a chance to do something new and experimental. So just a bizarre. It was a bizarre experience. And
what Andre was speaking to. I mean, when we started doing this, I mean, Andre really, I mean, that was sort of his view on the whole thing. Was he looked at it as more, it was just kind of shitty Kardashians, like, reality TV thing. And we kind of had this conversation. It was kind of a come to Jesus moment on the whole real world thing, where it was like, no, man, what you guys did was really change the landscape of pop culture and entertainment forever, and I think a lot of those conversations kind of, for a long time, I think Andre sort of avoided the whole real world thing at all. We didn't talk about it. And I kind of said, look, it's time. I think we have to address the elephant in the room, and you need to talk about it. We need to embrace it. We need to look, this was a huge part of your life and a huge part of your, and we kind of did. And shortly after, we did that and embraced it and kind of started talking about it in the bios and the press releases and the interviews, and kind of, giving a little more free rein to it. That's when the call came about the reunion, ironically enough, Yeah,
well, it came full circle pretty quickly, and in a very organic way. I think that Tom, you're absolutely right. We did actually make a conscious effort to start talking about it, whereas I had avoided it for, it wasn't a part of my bio. It wasn't a part of my background. I really didn't talk about it much. And we did make a conscious decision to actually address it in the, in our biographical material. And then watching it made me realize, well, it actually wasn't so bad. It was actually pretty fucking good, and I was pleasantly surprised at how good it was compared to what I had, what time had sort of done to the memory of it in my own head. I had just such mixed feelings about it, but actually viewing it from beginning to end, as I mentioned, and especially with my wife, who had never seen it at all, she was like, this is good. Why are you so negative about it? And I was just like, oh, I don't know, because sometimes I would shrug, like, or cringe, waiting for the crash that never came, or something, like, and then I'd be like, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I've overreacted to the horror of it all, because it wasn't so bad at all. And actually, at the end of the 13 episodes, I was like, that was pretty good. So I'm thrilled to be, and it just came around, to be able to have the opportunity to see those people again, to go into that same loft that we shot the original series in. It was great. I had a blast. Got to play a bunch of new songs on camera. Got to, show them, what I've been up to. I'm a dad now, and got a chance to show that side of my life, and it's wonderful. I had a great time.
Awesome, sounds great, man. I've like I said, I have 1,000 questions sprouting, but we'll go to Scott Dockendorf has another one. He says, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Well, I would definitely say, stay in school, kids. No, I would be like, if as far as as it refers to real world, to have been maybe a little more engaged in what everyone else was doing, less self-involved. But actually, the advice that I would give to my younger self as far as music, I wasn't really writing songs. I was, I was co-writing songs in Reigndance. I was not bringing in my own material in Reigndance, and it wasn't until Reigndance was breaking up that I really started to, be a self-contained songwriter, and that was one of the reasons that that the whole thing split up, is that much like George Harrison, there wasn't there wasn't room for another creative entity to be kind of, and I'm the singer, so of course I had to have the opportunity to have my voice be heard creatively, and so that was a problem. So the advice that I would have given my younger self would be to to be a little more serious about writing, because it's the most serious thing that I do now.
Cool, great answer. Hey, Rich, before you go, I have a question for Pebbles, actually. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead,
Pebbles, they want you. She's back under my desk being quiet. People don't even know that in 9 out of 10 interviews I do, Pebbles is just curled up under my desk. Usually just quiet as can be. She's a good girl.
Cool.
All right, Rich, go ahead.
If the reunion goes well, would you guys maybe do another one?
Yeah, I'm sure I would. I mean, they've got the right idea behind it, and they were treating us right. It's funny, being involved in that first show, they didn't really make many accommodations for us. We weren't really compensated very well on that first series, and when it was over, they kind of just kicked us to the curb and brought in a new crew in, but they realized that they're
kind of like Power Rangers.
They realized that there was there is some real I don't know if value is the word, but the people, us, the cast, that there was a lot more of a story there, and people wanted to hear from us. So I think that to answer your question, Rich, I probably would do it again, because for a variety of reasons. I would say the landscape has changed quite a bit since the early 90s, where, I think that, back when I did it originally, it was very much looked down upon. People didn't take us very seriously. And now, reality TV is king, and they take the least serious fluff out there gets a real nod of approval, just for the fact that it's on the mainstream. So I definitely would do it again, for those reasons, that it's taken a lot more seriously now, and they realize what they have. Maybe they didn't then.
Okay.
All right, cool. And No, so I know the trailer kind of hypes up like, oh, there's tempers flare, but I mean, I get the impression. I mean, sure, we're going to advertise, no spoilers or anything, but tell us what we're going to get when we watch the reunion.
Well, there's some real drama. I can't divulge too much information, but there's definitely some drama.
Do people stop being polite and start getting real?
I don't know about that. I don't know if they ever stop. I think that politeness was never the, I don't think they ever started being polite, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's, people, there was some fireworks and some real sparks created. Those conversations, those people are very serious people. Kevin's an activist, and activism is not something you just stop doing.
Yeah, turn off or walk away.
Yeah,
from
right.
TV show.
He is an activist when he wakes up, and when he goes to sleep, he is an activist, and he is very serious. So he's got and he's brilliant, and so he's got a lot to say, and sometimes that creates some friction, and this was no exception to that situation. Kevin and I got along great. He and I share many of the same opinions. Not everyone did, so we'll see. I think that that happens.
So everyone better go out and subscribe to Paramount Plus right now, so you can watch it tomorrow.
Yeah, starting tomorrow. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm dying to see it myself.
Oh, well, sure.
Jack, did you have a question that popped up there?
Actually, yeah. Well, I'll show it again. It was for you and me. So you guys talk amongst yourselves for a second. It's just Scott said, "Thanks." Yeah, we'd love to have Death Angel on. I would love to talk to them. Holy shit, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I love those guys, man. I got to hang out with those guys a lot on the Mega Cruise, and they were just delightful guys, man. I really like the Death Angel guys. They're so great.
As you say, of course, Tom knows them. Tom knows everybody. Yeah.
Social butterfly over here.
Yeah, right. Who hasn't left his house in 7 months? The anti-social butterfly is more like it.
Well, go ahead, Rich. I think I don't know whose turn it is, but go ahead, ask a question.
Okay.
It's a fucking free for all.
Yeah.
So, what new metal bands that you listen to, Andre? Anything you could recommend that you're listening to? Do you really dig?
Yeah. I love Rival Sons. I think they're a great rock band. I like what's new stuff. It's hard to think of new bands.
I don't know who listens to new stuff. Like other than my record and like 5 other things, and Post Malone, I don't remember the last new thing I listened to.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I would put Rival Sons at the top of that heap. I think they're I got a chance to see them shortly before the shutdown of from the pandemic, and that singer, he fucking brings it, man. He is awesome. And that's really, I'm a singer. That's what impresses me. I shouldn't, American Idol, those vocals do nothing for me because they're not, I don't think that there's any, there's no gravitas behind it. There's not, but that guy, he can sing. Other new bands, you'll have to come back to me about. It's the only one that's popping into my head at the moment.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Jack.
I've heard of this band Ellefson. They put out good stuff.
Yeah, great band.
Actually, my question can be, and actually, Rich kind of set it up. He kind of threw up the ball. I'm gonna kind of, he passed it perfectly to me. So talk to me. This is actually either one of you guys, Tom and Andre. Tell us about the album that really kind of set it off when you were really young, that made you go, "Holy shit, this is what I'm going to do with my life," or albums where you're like, "Yes, this is my career path or my life path."
I'd have to say Kiss. I got to see Kiss with makeup before they ever took it off on the Creatures of the Night tour, and that was the first show I ever saw. I was 13 years old, and literally my mind was fucking blown. I mean, I was just like, okay.
Was it at Comeau Hall?
Comeau Hall. Plasmatics opened up. Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics. My 13-year-old eyes bulged out of my head.
That was the first show.
And Kiss was awesome. They were really amazing. And as a result, I've always had an affinity for that era of Kiss.
For Creatures of the Night.
Creatures of the Night, Eric Carr, Vinnie Vincent, that lineup specifically. I mean, great Tom.
That is their best album for sure.
I love the original 4 members of Kiss, but they got into that Super Kiss era that I don't care much for. Dynasty, Unmasked, does nothing for me. But it was really when Eric Carr joined the band, a monstrous drummer. And when Vinnie Vincent got in that band, it really added an element that they, I wouldn't say that they didn't have before, because, Ace was a great songwriter. But Vinnie's songs really took that band into, metal. They turned into a metal band at the time, and they perfected.
I love Ace, but Ace is no Vinnie Vincent, man. He's I say what you want about the guy, but I mean,
huge Ace Frehley fan.
Creatively, technically, as a player, just no fucking contest.
He writes great, and he writes great songs. Like A Million to One, I think is A Million to One's one of his co-writes. I think that's an incredible song. Incredible song, the best. Absolutely one of the very best songs of that era. And so that I would say that era, that show, Creatures of the Night tour. I mean, I was a huge Kiss fan before that ever happened, but really that solidified it in a way that nothing else could.
Yeah, the first time I saw him was on Lick It Up, so not quite the same.
It's the same lineup, same.
It was the same lineup, but it's still not the same as seeing them with fucking makeup on Creatures of the Night at Comeau Hall. It's just come on.
Yeah, that was a good tour though.
I love 80s Kiss. I talk about it all the time, but I mean, again, I just wish I was 5 years older so I could have seen them in the original makeup era. That would have been nice. I'm not going to.
Yeah, of course. We're the Metal Asylum, so yeah, obviously we like 80s Kiss. Yeah,
I'm the metal analyze.
That's great too. But I'm just looking at the credits for Look It Up, and Vinny's got a co-write on 8 of the 10 songs.
Yeah, Vinny wrote that whole fucking record just about.
He really did. He was such an integral member of that band, and
and I think people really downplayed that record. I think Lick It Up is such a fucking phenomenal return to form Kiss record. All hell's breaking loose. I mean, there's just some great shit on that record.
Exciter, the kickoff song.
Such a badass song, and the demo to Not for the Innocent. I had a chance to check out the demo to that, and they both Gene and Paul sing on that on the demo. Gene sings it on the record. You get a chance to check out the demo. It's awesome. It rivals the recorded version. It's awesome. They were really they had something special going on with that lineup, and I don't think they were able to reach that same height without Vinny.
Yeah, but his solo albums are great too. But so this leads any chance of hearing any Kiss covers on a future Andre Comeau record?
Absolutely. My band loves Kiss.
There's a lot better chance of that than a Reigndance reunion.
It's funny. My band members of my band and myself were in a parody Kiss band here in Los Angeles, where we fired Ace Frehley on stage and brought up Vinnie Vincent in full Vinnie makeup,
No way.
And that's awesome. Your get up.
It was awesome. We had the best time, and unfortunately, it was just so much work. So and no return. It's that you play in LA, you don't get paid, and then we would pack that place and walk away with nothing. And here we spent so much time getting dressed and learning these songs. It's such a huge investment.
You're just describing the experience of being in a band in general, I think.
Oh, but so much more so when you have to
when you have to dress up like fucking Kiss.
And I'm going to quote Spinal Tap here. Do you know how much it will cost to dress up the band as animals? Really.
Did you do it in Dublin?
Need a 18-inch tall Stonehenge monument on the stage.
Crazy.
You can't do it in Dublin. In what? In Dublin?
Yeah. So it didn't last for more than a couple of performances, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, actually, Patty Adams asked, "What's up with Vinny now?" I mean,
I don't know. He's out of his fucking mind, and I don't know. He's batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And Mark, I'll tell you this: I would never go into it, but he was in confidence. But I've heard some stories, man. Obviously, I'm friends with Mark and Dana and the Slaughter guys, and a lot of people that have just had a lot of close contact with Vinny, and he does not seem like a very stable chap.
That's how it seems. That's definitely how it seems.
I mean, very, very, very tweaker-esque from what I've heard. Not saying that that's the case, but very esque. You guys live in Arizona, so you know exactly what I mean.
Tweaker-esque, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, I got to go soon. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, me too, actually.
No, we do have a couple minutes left. So, I don't know if you had any. Why don't we just then do that? I don't know, Rich, if you had any questions, I don't want to step on you. If you had any questions,
we can just keep talking about this for the last 5 minutes. I mean, that's fine too.
No, let him tell everybody about what he's doing and what to look for the next year. What you're working on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. New album called Clean Break. The new single called Clean Break. It's going to be it's super exciting, great stuff. We hopefully will have the single out in the next couple of weeks. We'll have the record out probably in about 4 to 6 weeks, the full album. And I'm going to be playing acoustic shows as the country opens up. I'll be playing mostly acoustic shows to start, because that's what everyone's booking right now. But soon to follow up with full band performances. I have something on the books in Texas. We'll be in Texas in the beginning of May. We'll be doing the Midwest shortly thereafter, and probably the East Coast right around the same time. As well as I think California may be a little behind the rest of the country in terms of opening up, but we'll definitely.
Texas is wide open now, so we'll be.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be playing.
Are you going out under your name or a band name?
Oh yeah, no, it's my name. It's Andre Comeau. That's what the Wrong Within album is called, and that's what the new album will be under Andre Comeau.
Cool. And you said we'll be able to hear some of this music on the show, on the Real World Homecoming,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
I've played a bunch of new songs on the show, and a lot of they're using a ton of my music on the show, which is really exciting, as it somehow fit a lot of the lyrical content fit what was going on at the time. So the music supervisors let me know that they will be using a lot of my music, so it's great.
Awesome. Well, yeah, congratulations, man, on an awesome career. I look forward to all the stuff that you got coming this year, the new album and everything going forward. Best of luck with everything this year. And I don't know what else. Anybody else take us out with some words of wisdom, you guys?
Tom.
I got nothing. Be on the lookout for my new hip hop album, Versace Sunglasses at Night, coming soon. Watch The Real World Homecoming tomorrow on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, keep an eye out for the Andre Comeau band and the new single Clean Break.
And my hip hop album.
You heard it here first. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Andre.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Rich, Jack, Tom. See y'all.
Tom, too.
Yeah, thank you, guys. All right.